Well, hey everyone, just wanted to say hi and kind of get my start of the second semester video underway. I thought I would start in person so you could actually see what I look like without a mask on. Not sure that that's a great big novelty item, but hey, at least it's a little different and it maybe gives us something to strive for in the days to come, God willing. But look, so we're starting second semester. We made it through the first semester, and I hope you had a really good break. I hope that you had a great Christmas, if that's what you celebrate, or whatever you celebrated. I hope it went well. And here's to a vastly improved 2021. Although I don't know that just flipping a number in the calendar is really going to make things better right away. But we can hope. My hope is that we will be all together before the year is out. I don't know that circumstances will allow for that, but hey, I can dream, can't I? So anyway, let's just kind of discuss where we have been, where we're at, and where we are going. So I think the first semester looked pretty good, at least on paper. All of you passed. Many of you did way better than just passed, but I would say that looks good. So on the surface, things are looking pretty good. But I had a distinctly different take on it while I was grading the final exams. And I realized that only a minority of you actually sat for my final exam, but if I could extend that to everybody, it did raise a few warning flags. So let's just kind of go into that a little bit. So the multiple choice, since I pretty much gave you what you were getting in the review, gave you the answers to the review. I mean, technically, you never even needed to do the review as far as think your way through it. You could have just copied the answers down. And then, the ones that I picked out of there for the final exam, you could have just looked them up and put the answers in. So I was expecting pretty much everybody making a 70 or close to it, which people did. And then there was the 30 points for the free response. And I gotta say that did not go as well as I would have liked. I did have a number of you nail it, but really I had a number of you not nail it. Yeah. The thing about this course is that it's not enough just to prepare for a test, take the test, get a B or a C or whatever it is that you were shooting for, and then move on to the next one. You kind of have to remember what was on that test so that, 2 or 3 tests later, if a question shows up on that particular unit, you're able to answer it. And I had kids that couldn't answer things. So one of my goals for this video was to go over the free response with everybody, whether you took the test or not, and just to show you the kind of things that you could run into on an AP exam. But I still have people needing to make up that final exam, so much for that idea. But what worries me is where we're going to be when the AP exam rolls along, because at the end of the year, you're not going to, be worried about every individual test like you were along the way, or you might have been along the way, because the next goal will be knowing everything. And, if I'm seeing that kind of performance where people didn't know everything halfway through the course, then I'm a little worried. And, I want to blame the blended learning. I don't know what to blame, but this is something that concerns me a great deal. I am going to focus on it more, and I'm going to need you to focus on that sort of thing, kind of a cumulative approach, so that, when it's time to take the AP exam, we'll be ready for it. We'll have much less studying to do because we'll have a lot of it already done. Just we can go after it from a position of, what's the word I'm trying to think of knowledge rather than of trying to play catch up. So we'll see. This is a college class, and when you get to college, this is going to be your thing. I mean, it's going to be, less the teacher and more you. And this is the way I'm going to need for you to approach this now, or all your AP classes, because in the end, you are in college and you are responsible for your own learning. So anyway, that was not meant to be a lecture. It's just throwing out a major concern, a red flag. So anyway, we'll do what we can to make sure things on the AP exam go well. So I'm going to pause this as the first part of this review. This introductory thing. And I'm going to pick up with a different program. So stand by. All right, I'm back. And I think you can see me up in the corner. I'm waving. What I want to do is just start out with our Canvas page, because I have done some work on the Canvas page. And I think that you will find it much more streamlined and to your liking. So I'm in the new one. I think the old page is still open for part of January. This is open, of course, now. And excuse me. So what I did was I put the Zoom link here. So it'll always be here. You click on it, you can connect to Zoom, and you won't have to worry about any particular instructions for Zoom. All right. So anyway, that's your Zoom link. The contact information I put here. This is a link. And I put some more things in here too, like tutorial times and how to get to the Home Access Center, My Katie Cloud Bell schedule, that kind of thing. Another thing that I did was I took some more of the busy stuff out of the front page and I stuck it in here on this left-hand side under syllabus. And so you remember homework procedures and honor code, retesting, course requirements, all the things that were really important at the beginning of the year. I just kind of threw them in here because they don't need to just be taking up a lot of space on the front page and creating a lot of clutter. Now, as far as chapter materials go, you'll note that I don't have the clever graphics anymore. They're nice and all that, but they just make things lengthy. So all the first semester content is here. So if you click on this, there are all of your chapter materials just the way they were in the first semester. I didn't take anything out or change anything. And this is our current unit, binomial and geometric. We're still in that. And so when you click on that, it's the usual thing that you're used to seeing. And once we're done with this, the testing and the retesting is done, I will set up a click here for second semester content and just keep throwing things into that until by the end of the year, we will have first, second semester content, and they'll be in nice, neat little arrangements. The calendar is here still. It's a little bit smaller, so it might be harder to read, but I have made it a link. So if you click on it, you can open it up in your viewer and print it out or look at it more closely. And it's nice and big and all that. So yeah, so that's there too. So hopefully you'll find this easier to work with and easier to find things. So enough of that. Okay, so let's pick up where we left off and just look at binomial distribution review and just kind of revisit that real quickly. So we're still in chapter 6, binomial. We will soon be doing geometric. And I managed to really stretch this out. And I think there's only 2 or 3 PowerPoints that we actually did do. We will get through this unit. We won't be testing this Friday, but the Friday after. So we will conclude things pretty quickly. And then we're going to be done with all of this probability stuff. So remember the 4 rules for a binomial setting. The major one was success or failure. Either things happen or they don't. And that defines whether things are binomial. And they define whether they're geometric too, but we'll get to geometric in a few days. All right, fixed number n of observations or trials, okay? And that's what distinguishes binomial from geometric, because geometric is open-ended. But again, we'll get to that later. Your n observations must be all independent. So if something happens, that doesn't really tell you what could happen next. And then you have a fixed probability, which will be the same for every observation. So you'll need these 4 things. All right, we need some formulas. We need the mean and standard deviation of a binomial variable. And remember, it is a random variable, but it has specific formulas, like the mean is n times p. So that will show up a lot. And here's the shorthand notation for binomial. Keep that at the ready, because remember, the AP people love that. And the next thing I'm going to show you is variance, which we kind of don't need, but it is a stepping stone to standard deviation, which is n times p times 1 minus p. And that's going to be your standard deviation, or sigma. And we do use Greek letters because this is not sampling. These are actual probability distributions, and so they're fixed. They don't change from sample to sample to sample. And that's why we use parametric kind of notation for it. And we did pretty well at defining the variables on the last quiz. X is the number of, let's say, boys that are born out of 12 births. Let's just use that as an example. Just be specific and don't get minimal with it. All right, so here is your formula for binomial probability. That's what the calculator does when you do a binomial PDF. Remember, a CDF is just adding up a bunch of PDFs. So the probability that X equals K, let's just say 5 boys out of 12 births, N is 12, K is 5, times the probability that any boy is born, that's 0.5, raised to this power. Remember that, those two match. Times the probability of failure, which is the complement, or 1 minus p, to the n minus k power. And on the last quiz, you guys were pretty good at knowing this. So just keep it at the ready. And here's 2 examples that I'm going to run through with you on calculators. And it doesn't have any kind of a specific binomial situation. So let's just say, again, it's 12 births. We're looking for boys being born. So PDF is for wanting an exact value. That's where X would be exactly 3 boys out of 12 births. And then a binomial CDF when you want a range of values, or you want them in an interval. So if it's between 3 and 10, unless it's also equal, which it isn't, then we're going to have to correct this to where it's has an equal to. So we can't include the 3, we cannot include the 10 either. So it's really between and including 4 to 9 boys out of 12 births, okay? So I'll show you the calculator moves for this. There is homework for tonight. It's just a binomial review in your packet on page 10, but it's all listed in your assignments, so you can't miss it. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do those 2 problems on the calculator really quickly. So on the Nspire, it's menu and 5, 5. I have this memorized, and then A for binomial. And we wanted 3 boys out of 12 births, so number of trials is 12. Probability of a boy is 0.5. And we want exactly 3. That's what a PDF is, and hit OK. And there it is, 0.0537. Okay? Now we want from 3 to 10, all right, which is really 4 to 9. So this will be, let's see, again, menu 5, 5, and we want B, that's your binomial CDF. So it's 12 trials, and again, 0.5 for a boy. The lower bound was 4, and the upper bound is 9, right? Because we couldn't include 3 or 10. So let's go ahead and hit enter. And that's about 0.91. Okay, so let's do the same thing on the other calculator. So let me pull that up, and let's go ahead and start over. So the first one is, let's see, that'll be the binomial PDF one. So I'm going to go up because it'll get me there a little quicker. And we had 12 kids, and let's see, we wanted 0.5 for having a boy, and we wanted exactly 3. So paste that in. And remember, it was that 0.0537. Okay, now the CDF one will be a little bit more complicated because the calculator goes from 0 up to whatever x is. And we don't want 0 up to x. We want from 4 up to x. Okay? So in this case, x is 9, remember? So let's go ahead and do second distribution. And again, go up to binomial CDF. All right, and we had 12 trials and 0.5 for a boy. And we're going to go all the way up to 9, all right? And this will calculate from 0 to 9, which we actually don't want, but that'll get us started. And don't hit enter again. From here, we're going to subtract off up to 3. That'll leave us from 4 to 9. So again, distribution, binomial, CDF, and 12.5. But this time, we want to remove 0 to 3 so that what is left over after the subtraction is from 4 to 9. All right, so we'll paste that. And now we can hit enter, and it should be about 0.91. Okay? So you guys with the 84 style, you're going to have that complication, but you've already faced it, so I have a feeling that you should be good to go. Okay, so that takes care of everything. Don't forget, it's homework is packet page 10, the binomial review. It's good to have you all back. It's good to see you again, and we'll pick this up on Tuesday, or I guess Wednesday.